Good morning. Welcome to Morning Moments. I am so glad that you came and took the time to join us this morning for another Morning Moments. Today, I have an interview with, and I know I interview actors and writers and speakers and voiceover people. That's all that my guest does as well. But also, I'm thrilled to have a fellow nurse on. She's also a nurse, Peggy Barnell from North Carolina. Welcome to Morning Moments.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Andy.
Tell me a little bit
I'm
about
glad to
yourself.
be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Tell me about yourself. What
Okay.
do you do and why do you do it?
Okay. So I am, first of all, a broken and but beloved follower of Jesus Christ. That's first and foremost. And I am a nurse. I've been a nurse for 40 plus years, but I'm also an actor and a writer and a speaker. I love comedy, and I'm a lover of people. And I've been able to love people through drama ministry at church over the years, and through writing, and then through nursing as well. I'm a firm believer that wherever we go, when we are followers of Christ, wherever we go, whatever we do, we're taking Christ with us.
Yes.
We're offering that to the people that we meet and work with and love. And I guess I should keep talking.
No, yeah, but you also you didn't stop there at nursing. You went into a lot of
I did, yes.
a lot of other entertainment and movie industry. And tell us a little bit about that. How that happened.
Okay, all right. So I grew up in Indiana watching the Carol Burnett show. She was my childhood idol. And I knew when I grew up, I was going to move to Hollywood and be the next Carol Burnett. But things changed. I spent a lot of years just kind of hiding who I was because of self-esteem issues through teen years, early adulthood. In my late 20s, I met Jesus, and that changed everything. And in my local church, they started to do drama ministry, and I felt like I was Cinderella with a glass slipper. I was, growing up, maturing, but growing in the faith, and then having the opportunity to act in these productions, and I was just wonderful. And over the years, that's been over 30 years ago now, 35 probably closer. I was acting on a regular basis at church, but acting kind of led to directing, which led to writing, which led to speaking. I moved to Charlotte in 2009. And I have, since that early start, I've written 10 stage plays.
Oh, great.
I've got several shorter, smaller monologues and skits that are available for use on my website. I'm part of a local church drama ministry where I worship. I have an agent, Luann Berner of Monarch Talent Agency. I've had some really cool opportunities to be in some couple of movies and commercials. I love voiceovers. The entertainment world, acting, writing, voiceovers, it's highly competitive. And quite honestly, my heart is doing things that impact the kingdom. But I love the craft. I love everything about the craft, the creative process. So I love the writing piece and the acting piece. I also was part of a comedy improv group when I first moved to Charlotte. I learned how to do improv, and I love comedy. I think comedic acting is probably my sweet spot, but like most comedic actors, I'm able to do heavy duty drama as well. And I love story in every form, whether that's being a nurse and talking to people and making a connection through some experience that you've had, or writing something, but people connect with story. So I just love everything about story and being able to share stories. When you put on a play, how many people go to movies or watch movies? It's the biggest form of entertainment in the world. It's the story that connects people and draws them in. So, and Jesus used story, in the same way. You can say things and do things and offer a message that a pastor can't stand up and say without offending people, or a speaker somewhere. People would be offended by things that are said, But when you act it out and show the story behind it, so many times that just helps people make the connection. It's like, oh, now I get it, that they connect with it and they remember it. That's one of the coolest things, I think, is having been, being able to write dramas and have be part of producing them or hear of them being produced, to have somebody come up to you a year later, 5 years later, 10 years later, and say, I remember that drama you did. I remember that story. And especially, I remember the first play that I wrote. A few weeks after, I ran into somebody in our community where we had done the play, and she came up to me and said, I came to your play and I called my sister. I haven't talked to her for 7 years. And that just makes me go, awesome. Thank you, Lord, because that's not even what the story was about, but you heard something different. God used that. So I just think that's the power of story, and the way that we tell it and offer it. Also, in my nursing career, I've spent several years in a hospice house, and that was a wonderfully hard job. I can tell you, I've been so many times during the 4 years I spent in hospice house. I was at the right place at the right time to simply listen or minister to somebody in some small fashion, or sometimes a larger fashion. You were going to say something, Wendy.
No, no, I'm glad you brought up the hospice, because that's a special gift for nurses to be a hospice nurse. My nephew, who's a nurse, worked in hospice for a while and told so many great stories. And my father last year went through hospice before his death. And to be able to have that nurse come in with that compassion and knowledge to help out is it's truly a gift. It's really opportunities that people will never ever know unless you work in nursing and working as a hospice nurse like yourself.
The privilege and a blessing. There were
Yeah.
many times during that time I prayed over people that were comatose. I explained the plan of salvation to people that were comatose, or sang songs over them, or just to be with a family in those last moments, and say, you can still, if there's something you want to say, you can still say that now. It's not too late.
Yeah. And I was telling somebody about the privilege of being with people in their final journey,
Mm,
and to be right there. Not everybody gets to be there in that final journey, and to be able to help them for that last step is amazing.
yes. Yeah. Yeah. So many people are kind of afraid or hesitant to talk about those core issues, like death and dying in particular. But when you've got experience in hospice or in ministry, you're much more likely to go, oh, let's talk about that, or see the open door then to step in and talk about hard issues.
I think one of the things that nursing, and my background wasn't hospice, it was psychiatric, and see, I've got stories I could tell too. But when you're around the nursing world and the medical world, and around about such tragedy and death, and then you walk away wanting to say, I want to live life to the fullest. I've seen so many people at their deathbed or at their worst saying, I wish did, I wish I would have.
Right.
And I've often said that being there helps me to say, I want to live every day the best I can.
Right. Yes. Yes. I mean, nobody on in their last days or on their deathbed says, I wish I'd have worked more. I
Yes,
wish I'd
yes,
made more money. I
yes.
wish I'd have had a bit. They don't say those kind of
No,
things
no,
ever. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was in part my hospice experience, but also a story. I want to tell you a story. When you go and audition for a play, which I've done a lot of theater over the years as well. When I came to Charlotte, I'd been here a few years, and I went and auditioned for a play, and I got a role. But you often see like this much of a script. I mean, you don't really know, you can't know what the whole story is. And I was excited to have a role, but the play, when I got to see the full thing, it was, it was so smart and so well written, but it was so dark and so sad. And it was like heart wrenching to be part of it. I mean, there was humor in it. And again, it was really well done, but the story was just so heavy and dark and tragic with no hope in it. And that just set with me for the longest time. I didn't invite a lot of my friends to come and see it because I just didn't feel good about being part of that play, despite the fact that it was so well done. But it motivated me to write a story. I think that, and again, hospice experience probably helped that some. But I wrote a stage play about a family. It's a tragedy, but it's a tragedy that has hope, that has threads of hope through it. So, because who doesn't experience tragedy? We all do in some form or another, but how do you handle it? Who do you turn to? Those are the questions. So it wasn't I wanted to write a story that could be done in a church, but also a story that could be done in community theater. And so that's the most recent big play that I've written. It's called Thicker Than Water. It's about a family walking through breast cancer. One has died, another one's been diagnosed, and the people that surround them. And so I'm kind of excited to see what God's going to do with that.
Yeah.
Because as we said a few minutes ago, or what I said to you, Andy, is the story still being written
Still.
about me, not just about me, but about everything we do and how God uses what we offer, the gifts that we bring back.
My story is still being written, and God holds the pen. Let him do the writing, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Well, Peggy, it has been a delight to be able to get to know you and to hear your story. I'm going to down below put information about what you've done and what you're going to be doing, far as credits of your movies and television and such, and how people can get a hold of you if they want to, audition you for a movie or even talk to you about some of your playwrights and things like that you're doing. I'm going to put that information down below. But more important than that, I want, when we're done with this interview, I want everybody to just take a few moments and purposely take some time and pray for Peggy, that God would take her experiences of 40 years of nursing and her
Mm,
experiences in drama and her experiences as she continues to write those stories, and that she would be used in a way
mm,
in her acting and her story writing that will be for the next generation as well. And we're going to
mm.
pray and believe that the best is yet to come for you.
Awesome. I believe that's true as well. Thank you.
There are some of you that heard this interview and say, I need to pass it on to somebody else. Please do that. Please
Mm,
pass this interview on to somebody else, and take the time to pray for Peggy. And I need your prayer as well. My dad used to always say, "I need your prayer, and you need the practice." So if you would, please do that for me, and keep coming back for morning moments. Again, thank you, Peggy, and may God richly bless you in your work.
Thank you so much, Andy.